Colgate.
That was
The university.
That was fighting words.
If you're at Colgate and you're tuning in, go to hell. Travis Kriens, Marcus Draxler, Nathan Stacken, and Charlie Hildebrand. This is Sports Lounge number 170. Do some quick math here. When are we going to get to 200?
30 weeks from now.
30, well, yeah. 30 shows to go. What do we got?
210 days.
Sometime before the end of the year, looks like?
Yeah, it's possible.
Thanksgiving
Can't take any weeks off.
No weeks off. Sports Lounge 170. We'll get into our toothpaste discussion coming up soon.
The tooth.
There you go. Everybody wants to know what's on Stacken's mind. Stacken, lots of controversy surrounding you this week.
Oh, God.
Rougned Odor got 10 games. What did you think?
I think he should have been.
Did you think we were going to talk about something else?
No, I didn't. No.
Okay.
I know I'm in the minority with this, but
yes, you are the current American Indian in this.
That's so wrong. You can't say that there.
You can't. He did. He said it.
Anyway, I think that given
the smallest of the minority,
you don't punch someone in the face. You just don't. You don't punch him in the family jewels. You don't punch him in the face. Given his history and given the malicious intent of it, I don't believe that the Batista slide was hard, but it was not a foul slide, if I may say that.
It was against the rules.
But he didn't go. He could have gone for the front leg. Could have gone for the plant leg. He went for the back leg. So
okay, how about this?
I don't think he put any real planning into it.
He was just going to go in there as hard as he could, as high as he could, for as long as he could. Let's say, because Odor picks up his legs, Odor to pick his leg up to avoid really any contact at all. Let's say his leg is broken. Then we got a whole other fucking thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Then, we'd have a whole different discussion there. So I'm not.
There probably would not have been a punch thrown because the man could not have gotten up. So.
That's right. Then Bautista should have been. Then he should be suspended for
a while.
I'd like the NHL and Major League Baseball to adopt a rule that if you intentionally hurt someone, you are out however long that person is out.
Okay.
Draconian rules.
Yes. Now, in this case, with Odor, given his history and the fact that he punched someone in the minor leagues,
that doesn't count. That honestly does not count. If we can't use what was in the minor leagues against him in the majors.
It's a history, though.
No, I don't think so.
Even in the United States Justice Department, when you turn 18, your record is clean.
So
we'll go to Charlie on this. Charlie, do you think they looked at that when they said we're going to suspend this guy? Do you think, well, he did get into a similar situation 4 or 5 years ago?
Do I think that Major League Baseball took his minor league stuff into account?
Or they knew about it?
My guess is they knew about it and they probably took it into account. I think he probably got suspended too many games. I think like I'm not going to go so far and try to hot take this and say he shouldn't have been suspended at all. But I don't know, I would say 3 games is fine. I think even though Odor appeared to push Batista first.
Yes, he did.
That really instigated it. Although Batista did the slide, I would both give them the same number of games.
And the Rangers plunked him, so fuck them.
Whoa. I would say I don't,
Stacken's serious about his baseball fights.
Seriously, in all honesty, this whole shit that's gone on with baseball here the last week, and then Freddie Gonzalez and all that mumble jumble there.
Don't lump that into this. Come on.
No. It's separate.
I don't know what the Freddie Gonzalez is. What's that?
Okay, I'll get
you
to
that.
Fired.
He just got fired. That's it.
That. Okay, gotcha.
I just can't wait for football now. You get rid of this stupid-ass baseball shit that we're talking about here. But anyway, Odor, that's how upset I am with this. Odor should have been just to go back to Marcus's point where you don't think it should matter what he does in the minor leagues. If someone uses PEDs and gets suspended in the minors, does their record automatically start clean when they get to the majors?
That's not the same. That's somebody actually actively cheating. I'm not talking about somebody's disciplinary record. I'm exactly what Charlie said. You get to the majors, it should basically start over. PEDs are a different story because that has fundamentally changed the game in so many ways.
I believe that history precedes itself, and given his history, you need to set the tone with this. Suspend him for 30 days, not 30 games, 30 days. However many games gets played in there. Doesn't matter if it's like rain out or whatever. I think I looked; it would be 28 games. Suspend him for 30 days. Send the message. You can't go around punching people in the face. And then maybe all these stupid unwritten rules, we can start to eliminate some of these because it's ridiculous.
What if instead of hitting him in the face, he hit him in the stomach and Bautista threw up all over the court? Like that, all over the field. That's fine. It's okay that he hit him and he vomited because of it, but he can't hit him in the face then?
Then I would say that the suspension, the 8-game suspension, I'd be okay with. I'd probably go 5. You can't punch him in the face. You can't punch him in the family jewels. Those are off limits.
You can punch him in the face. And Odor did it better than anybody's ever done it in baseball.
Yes,
and they've been punching each other in baseball for 150 years, and it's perfectly fine.
Travis,
this is how they settle their scores.
Carmelo punched a guy for the Knicks a few years back, got suspended 15 games. 15 games in an 82-game season. Well, that's a higher percentage than this 8 games in 162. It's bullshit. Major League Baseball really struck out on this one, as far as I can say.
Ooh, boo to the pun. Boo.
I sent you the link about the Przinsky fight.
Yes, you did.
10 years ago. That seemed similar, and the penalties seemed very similar. Well, I think as far as...
He got 2 more games, and he didn't have a history.
Yeah, I think the White Sox...
Przinsky, that's when the Cubs guy punched him, the Cubs back catcher.
Barrett.
Well, it's different because the Cubs guy instigated all of that. Like, I would say, at least with Odor, he had a reason to be upset in the first place. The Cubs catcher was just upset because they gave up a bunch of runs that inning or whatever.
Yes.
At least with Odor, there's the excuse of, I'm worried about my... I want to stay healthy so I can keep playing and collecting paychecks.
For another bad pun, there's a foul odor with this suspension, and
come on.
I know I'm in the minority with this here, but I think Major League Baseball needs to set the tone or send a message, and I don't believe they did it with this. Why did the Blue Jays manager get suspended? Who was it? Jay Gibbons, and the Rangers manager, whoever the hell he is, didn't get suspended at all.
Bannister.
Well, Gibbons had already been ejected, and he came out of the clubhouse and ran back out on the field. That's why he got suspended. You shouldn't do that.
Stacken, do you also think that since Carmelo and Odor you want them to be suspended more? Do you think that hockey players shouldn't be allowed in fights to punch each other in the face ever, or get suspended for 10 games?
That's a good point, and I do not mean to be hypocritical when I say this.
You do.
But no, I don't. I believe that fighting.
Do you believe in the separation of church and state?
Part of the culture of hockey, just like unwritten rules are part of the culture of baseball. And I would like to see them get rid of fighting personally, but like they do in the international competitions, in the Olympics. So I would like to see them get rid of that, but that is a more accepted part of the culture of hockey than it is in basketball and baseball.
There's a difference between basketball and baseball. I'm not saying that fighting's encouraged in baseball, but it's more okay in baseball than it is in basketball, I think.
Well, when the bench is clear, the dugout's clear, they're all just really getting together and find out what buffet they're all going to after the game and what nightclub and whose mama they're doing and whatnot.
Oh, look at this guy. The basketball thing is you can't leave the bench, so that was a problem. So I said, okay, you leave the bench, you're going to get suspended. So nobody does that anymore. Baseball, every month, every few weeks, you see a thing like this. You see a lot of swinging. You see very little hitting. It's a percentage similar to Aaron Hicks's batting average. About 1 in every 10. 1 in every 10 gets hit, and this was the one that got hit.
Yep.
Bautista, he didn't want any part of it. He got his ass kicked. So,
he did.
He did. I was watching the Sharks Blues last night because me and Charlie I like our San Jose hockey more than most.
Yes.
And there was a fight at the end of that one. A couple guys punched each other a couple times. One guy fell down and slipped, and they broke it up, and they all went to their benches, and they went back to the locker rooms, and that was that. I assume they won't be suspended.
Nope.
But whatever I saw last night was a whole hell of a lot worse than what I saw Sunday.
Yeah.
I would say that hockey does a hell of a lot better job policing itself than baseball does, clearly, because we have these dumb rules that aren't written down that somehow are the way that the game is, figured out or whatever. It should have been over with when Batista got hit. He had to have known that was coming. Everybody's talked about how he had to have known that was coming after the bat flip thing last year. But no, he gets on first base, and he's like, I'm going to ruin Odor or whoever else is at second base. I'm going to take him out. And I don't know how you can really blame Odor. He punched him. He deserves the 8 games. I'm not going to say he deserves less. It seems like the right amount, 8 to 10. Yeah, that's pretty good. But it's just, I think we should have more of an issue with these unwritten rules that seemingly come up a couple times every year because it's just a dumb thing. And you know what? The rule change, we talked about it with the Utley slide last year. In the end, it's a good thing. I mean, but
yes.
you just see that it's Batista, and there's a reason tons of people don't like him. I think he's an entertaining player, but he's not well liked in Major League Baseball.
If I may, is that a Wooden Legs growler behind you?
No, this is Duluth. Fitger's Brew House.
All right, very good.
All right. Wooden Leg Sunday, though.
We're talking about unwritten rules of baseball. I think an unwritten rule of life is if someone maliciously shoves you in the chest and then you say, oh, yeah, and start taking steps right towards them, that you can't, do that, expecting there to not be another incident. And
if Bautista had broken a leg or had punched Odor first, I'd be saying the same thing for Bautista. I'm not trying to take any sides here. I just believe that you can't do that, and you need to be suspended more than 8 games. But, okay, so again.
Well, did Batista even get suspended? I don't think so, right?
Yeah, he did. He got suspended.
Yeah, he got 1 game.
One game. So. To me, it should be 8 and 8. I mean,
whoa,
it's ridiculous.
All because the Rangers are butthurt that their terrible pitcher last year gave up a home run in the playoffs. Maybe he should be suspended for being terrible at his job.
Baseball is a game that is built and is still around on butthurt. It's just the butthurt game where everybody's butthurt all the time.
Where's Brian McCann when you need one?
Wow. Speaking of assholes, there's one right there. One of the truly awful people in the game. Bald-headed asshole Brian McCann. What a piece of shit. If I, like I said before, that hockey fight, this baseball fight, they got suspended. He got his 8 games plus his paycheck, whatever he's not going to make. But if I do that outside of the 9 stacking, something's going to happen to me. Goddamn, I'm not gonna spend the night in my own bed. I know that much.
No, you are not. You are either going to spend it in a hospital bed or B on a bunk bed in the jail cell.
Well, to be fair, it depends if police see it or not, and if you hang around. There's ways you could get around it, but that would not be smart to tempt fate in that way.
What are these unwritten rules? What are these?
You mentioned
the bat flip
in the podcast you joined me this week.
Did we go over that?
Real quick, we should all say our favorite unwritten rule.
Okay, the bat flip. I like a good bat flip.
The bat flip's fine. Bunting to break up a no-hitter in the 8th or the 9th inning.
Yeah. Don't stand and stare at the home run. Don't do it too long. Run around the bases in a good, quick manner. Draw.
I would say my favorite is that you can't go slow running around the bases after the home run, but also you can't run fast around the bases either. You can't go too slow and you can't go too fast. I think that's my favorite unwritten rule.
You can't stare at a home run that goes into the streets that's 500 feet like like Betancourt did to John Lackey. John Lackey does not like that.
Ooh.
And then my second favorite unwritten rule is that it is okay for pitchers and closers especially to go absolutely ape shit whenever they get an out. But if a batter does it, then that's bad, and pitchers get angry at that.
Madison Bumgarner is a major proponent of that one.
He had a dust-up with Will Myers, I think it was on Thursday, whenever it was, Friday, earlier this week. And
it's childish. That's what it boils down to. It's just borderline childish.
I think so. Speaking of the Texas Rangers, they want a new stadium for God knows what fucking reason.
They want to be like the Braves.
They figured out it's hot in Texas, and shit, maybe we should have built this with a roof.
Is that right?
Because maybe people don't want to come to our games because it's too hot. Well, we better have a new $1 billion stadium with a roof.
How about you just build the roof on this one here and save approximately $800 million?
They say it's not feasible.
Make it happen. They can build the goddamn arch in St. Louis. They can build this.
Build the arch. Build the wall, goddammit.
Is this, Atlanta's doing this. We'll see if this gets done in Dallas or not. There's a lot of, they're not old stadiums. They're 20, 25 years old. Kind of started with the White Sox and the Orioles and the Rangers, and we've gone on through there, and everybody has their new stadiums now. And these should still be there 50 years from now when they're 70 years old. But do you expect, like in the next 20 years, they're just going to say, well, let's get it going another round of stadiums here.
New one. We got to host the Super Bowl.
Get a new one. Everybody's got the new stadium. Oakland doesn't. Tampa Bay doesn't.
They're the only teams, basically.
Besides that, everybody's got a new stadium here in the last 20 years.
Toronto is the Rogers Center more? I thought that was older than 20.
It was like 89.
Yeah.
90 is up, 26, 27 years old. But you'd probably need a dome up there near the border.
Cubs and the Red Sox, huh?
Yeah,
but
Cubs.
That's mystique. Right
and then if you have an old stadium like the Angels or Cubs and Red Sox, they've done
the Royals
renovations to get that updated. So there really should not be any more new stadiums. Not a whole lot. But do you think there will be?
Well, the whole thing is this threat. Like in Arlington, there was a threat that Dallas would get the team, and Arlington, they just couldn't let that happen. So they've come to the table and said, well, we'll pay for half this new stadium. And it's just kind of ridiculous. You've already got the goddamn Cowboys. I don't know what else you really need. I realize 81 nights out of the year, that's important to have the ballpark there, but I don't know what it's worth having that. And it's the same thing with Atlanta. There's another suburb where they think they can get a sweetheart deal, and so they move out there. And there's always going to be a market for these teams, these new stadiums, and if not, you're seeing it in the NFL that they're going to hold these other markets over ones that have a team already as a way to get a new stadium. And now they're talking that San Diego, they may just outright promise them a Super Bowl which is a stupid thing because you're going to put the Super Bowl in San Diego no matter what if there's a new stadium, but they're going to promise them a Super Bowl if they build a new stadium for them.
I think so. Yeah. San Diego is probably going to get more than just like the one that Minneapolis is going to get.
Right,
that's a new stadium because of the weather. I think that Travis, you asked if this is going to happen 20 to 25 years. It will only happen if it can be privately financed, and I don't see that happening. You're seeing tax dollars. A lot more people, a lot more politicians don't want to give money to these big pro sports teams, but there are some teams, I think maybe more like soccer and perhaps minor league baseball, that are trying to privately fund some stadiums. We see it all the time in college, but that's, of course, you have alumni and donors that are able to do that. Look at SDSU at the Dana Dykhouse field now. There are ways that you can build new stadiums, but you're going to have to do a lot more private financing, either through corporations or whatnot. I don't think you'll see a lot of taxpayer dollars in 20 to 25 years after you just built a nice brand new facility. Say, oh, we need to build another one.
Well, the major difference there is that people are a lot more skeptical about soccer than they are about Minnesota or about football, for example. Nobody really batted an eye when the Vikings wanted to build a $1 billion stadium for the Vikings, and the state handed over a third of the money. But when Minnesota United FC wants to build a new stadium in St. Paul, there's a lot more wrangling about that. Still is, I believe, than there is about the Vikings or the Twins.
Or even the St. Paul Saints, the Minnesota Timberwolves, that they've kind of had a little bit of a struggle to get renovations to the Target Center too, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, the Timberwolves didn't. They got $150 million pretty easily. So okay. I'd say that I think it was actually part of the Vikings deal somehow. But we've already seen sort of this resistance to publicly funded stadiums, but the fact that there's still people doing it, that it's still happening, Atlanta and Arlington, Texas being examples, this isn't going anywhere. There will always be people who are willing to give money to these professional sports teams to keep a stadium around because they're always going to play beggar. These teams will always say they need more, and it's pretty ridiculous.
St. Louis and Oakland are probably the two cities right now where you're seeing just the opposite of that, though, that they aren't willing to give money towards new stadiums.
St. Louis put out a pretty, what I thought was a pretty decent stadium plan.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Sam Kroenke was dead set, but they did it too late, is what I get.
Yeah, let's not confuse that for being unwilling. Obviously, they were willing. So
Oakland doesn't seem to, though.
That would be a smart thing because, for the most part, that's an okay football stadium. It's not great for baseball, obviously, but football, it does get the job done.
The right side of that is it brings us one step closer to having the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah. And when the Raiders have moved, 4 times in their career, in their franchise history, or 3 times, if they want to move again, let them move. I don't think anybody in Oakland is going to be real upset, other than your diehard folk.
I was listening to ESPN radio the other day, and I'd heard that maybe Golden State is getting a new arena in San Francisco.
Yeah, they are.
Maybe I'm just really late to this party. I hadn't heard that before. Was that an unwillingness of Oakland to not pony up either for renovations to Oracle Arena or just build a new arena in general? I don't know. I'm wondering about that.
I think they wanted to be on the right side of the bay.
The Golden
I think you'd rather be on
the money side of the bay.
The money side of the bay rather than the
gang side of the bay.
Whatever you want to call Oakland, yeah.
Well, when the earthquake hits, that'll be nice for them. So
then the arena will fall into the bay.
Then they'll have to move. Then they'll have to move to Oklahoma City, and then Oklahoma City will get their own team. Or maybe
Seattle. Move to Seattle.
There you go. Stacken, do you have any signs left from your 2010 campaign for county commissioner running on the campaign finance battle?
I do. They're in the process of moving in this last year. They appear to have gotten misplaced. But I will find them though, and I'll put them in my yard.
Good. Stacken, 2010.
Change we can believe in.
Good.
Change that didn't get done yet.
Just change that we don't really care either way about in the first place.
Change you found in your sofa the other day.
Very good. Charlie, what's the NFL going to do now with stadiums? They can't threaten Los Angeles because they're going to be a team there.
Sure they can.
London. Is London the new Los Angeles?
Mexico City.
I think Mexico City is more likely than London because
time zone.
Well, I mean, Mexico City's got its own problems because there's more
drugs
unrest in Mexico than there is in the United States or London, but it's so much closer.
For now.
I mean,
wait till November when Trump wins.
Well done.
And that could change things. We'll see. But I don't know. With London, I just wouldn't even teams I really don't like or care for in the NFL. I would not wish upon them 8 home games in London and then okay, now you got to travel back to the United States. I've not ever been to London. We did go to Italy one summer, and that people talk about the time change. We all live in the Midwest, so we don't even get the East Coast to West Coast jet lag stuff. I mean, you could if you go from the Midwest to the West Coast, but when you're talking 7 or 8 hours difference, that just completely screws you up for 2 days.
they'd have to play if they went to London. They'd have to play like 4 home games in a row, then 4 away games, 4 home games. Because otherwise, it just wouldn't make it.
It would have to be something like that with a bye week somewhere in there for traveling on the road or something like that.
Yeah, London's a punishment to any team that has to be placed there all year. I saw that the Colts actually are not taking a bye week after they play the Jaguars in London in week 5 or 6.
Because they're real men.
Week 4. Oh.
This is what I would say. If you want to play a game in London, play like if they want, we won the Super Bowl and we're, opening on Thursday night or whatever with a home game, like that's fine. I would have another game on Thursday or Friday in London early in the year, so they get at least a few extra days to get that, get their whole internal body clock straightened out and everything, and not do it in the middle of the season.
They should have it be at the end of the year. It's a 1-game playoff for the number one draft pick, and they play it in London, and the game airs at like 4:30 in the morning here. And or maybe 4:30 in the morning there, and it's prime time here. I don't know.
And then
I completely changed my mind. I like Traxler's idea better than mine.
And winner of the game gets the number 1 pick, and it's at the end of the season when the teams are already worn out, and you gotta muster all your energy for one more game.
It would be nice that if London gets the team, then people are going to be like, well, Paris needs a team now, and then it'll be Berlin and Barcelona and Madrid. So then they're going to say, why don't we just make these teams NFL Europe, and we'll just do this whole thing again.
For whatever reason, your London idea brought up Super Bowl halftime shows. I would like a UFC fight, a really big UFC fight to be the halftime of a Super Bowl show. Probably going to be.
You don't want Bruno Mars playing at halftime?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Can I interest you in Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather?
Just have the UFC fight and Bruno Mars playing at the same time. It can happen, folks.
Well,
how about Odor and Batista?
Now we're talking.
They can't punch him in the face, though.
Probably can't be a 5-round fight.
No, if it's a boxing match, you can. You can.
That's what baseball is.
So maybe like a really big 3-round fight. You can set up the thing, and maybe if the thing goes 2 minutes, well, then it goes 2 minutes. But
and then Bruno Mars can keep playing.
Bruno Mars can just keep playing.
I'm not a big Bruno Mars fan.
Well, then insert artist here. Who gives a shit?
Not Taylor
Janet
Swift.
Jackson.
We're not doing Taylor Swift. We're not going to do it.
Conway Twitty?
We're doing that.
Hologram.
Do it. Looking at some of the baseball, Stacken, and look at some of the baseball.
Oh, good.
Good, he says. Jake, is there a huge difference between Arrieta, Kershaw, and Sale? Right now, you look at the numbers. Arrieta leads in ERA, 1.3. I'm going to do some rounding here, okay? He's at 1.29. 1.29 for simple, we'll call it 1.3. Sale's at 1.6. Kershaw's at 1.67. So very close there. Whip, Arrieta's got the worst whip, 0.84. Sale and Kershaw basically tied at 0.7.
Worst in quotation marks.
It's the worst. He gives up nearly a base runner an inning. He's quite shit. Kershaw by far leads in strikeouts. He leads. I think Syndergaard would be Madison Bumgarner is second in strikeouts. Syndergaard's probably going to overtake him today. He is right now a good 15 plus clear of the next strikeout leader.
Who's next between Arrieta and Sale in strikeouts?
They're 63 and 62, so they're basically the same. They're a good 25 behind Kershaw, and Kershaw's got 4 walks, so he's got a pretty poor 22-to-1 walk ratio. So it's not very good. So once he gets to that 22nd strikeout, you're like, finally, this guy, he may walk a guy this month. So stacking it, is it closer than people would think, considering Arrieta's got all these consecutive wins?
Yes.
And all this stuff.
I think you're absolutely right with that. And the fact that this recent string of dominance is stretched from the second half, or since the All-Star break last year, and now into this year. Yeah, I think everyone's looking at him just like, oh my gosh, there's no one that can even touch it, Arrieta. And then you're reminded whenever you see Clayton Kershaw or Chris Sale take the mound, they're like, oh yeah, these guys are really good too. But I mean, we still have Arrieta because they either aren't looking at the stats or they're just so enamored with this past year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, you could put them A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, at whatever order you want, and you really can't be wrong.
Charlie, Arrieta's 8-0, hasn't lost in
I think I saw that like the last 22 games, like he hasn't won 22 straight games, but the Cubs have won the last 22 games he started or something like that.
He's 8-0 this year, and Sale is 9-0. Kershaw 6-1. We like the other numbers, but the wins are nice as well, and they're certainly deserving of being 8-0 and 9-0. What are we looking at here? 25 wins would be quite something, considering they're going to start 32, 33 games. What would you say you would put the ceiling at for wins this year?
I'm going to give Arrieta the highest ceiling just because I think he's got the most talent around him, and it will be the easiest for him to get support if he gives up 4 or 5 runs in a game to still win. I don't think I'm shocking anyone saying it's possible that Chris Sale could be like, well, you pitched a complete game and you only gave up 2 runs, but you lost. So, I mean, I don't know. I think 25 probably sounds about right. I think it would be, like, realistic, best case scenario would be 25 wins.
Do you remember?
I don't think anybody's going to get to 25, but it sure would be fun if they did.
Do you remember who you picked for Cy Young last year in our little preseason pick'em?
Not this year, but last year.
Last year.
I think I said the third starter for the Nationals. I don't know who the third starter for the Nationals is, though. It's not Jake Arrieta.
It's not Scherzer. It's not Strasburg. And I put in there Gio Gonzalez as your pick. And Gio Gonzalez right now is 5th in the league with a 1.86 ERA, and he is 3-1. So
I was just a year too soon on him.
Similar to Navy, similar to all of our college football picks, a year too soon. A year too soon.
If I may,
you can.
Well,
yes.
Or can I ask a question that could spark some debate?
Absolutely.
Hot takes.
Right.
How would it Jake Arrieta have done in the 1940s Negro leagues?
Very well.
Well,
maybe. I don't know if you guys covered this yesterday, but I got in an argument with some friends recently, last week. But okay, I got in an argument with some friends recently. I don't know if you guys covered this last week, but what do you deem
we did
more
not cover
impressive?
your argument with your friends last week.
No. Max Scherzer's 20 strikeout game or Jake Arrieta's no-hitter, or just a no-hitter in general? What's more impressive?
Well, one has happened 4 times or 2 times.
6 times.
But the 20 strikeouts, you got Scherzer did it, Clemens did it twice, Randy Johnson did it, and I think like some other guy had like 21 in extra innings. So it's happened that many times. A no-hitter happens on average once a month. So just based on that, it's the 20 strikeouts.
Given the fact though that Scherzer did give up 2 runs and 6 hits, does that take away from the 20 strikeout game?
I would say, it's no. I mean, you need 27 outs, and 20 of them came on strikeouts, so there's only 7 guys that put the ball in play, for God's sakes. But then 2 of them hit at least, but then 2 of them hit the home runs. And he gave up 4 or 5 hits. So I'd go 20 strikeouts.
I would answer this way. I don't know which is better. If I was a major league pitcher personally, though, I would rather have a no-hitter.
What's the game score here? What do you think about a game score? Like Arrieta's no-hitter wasn't compared to, it was in the 90s, I'm sure maybe high 80s. But I had said at the time that he'll have like 3 or 4 or 5 games this year better than his no-hitter.
Yeah.
Game score, because he had like 3 walks and only like 5-6 strikeouts. So he's been a lot better giving up a hit or 2. But I would take 20 strikeouts for the rarity of it.
Yep.
And no-hitters are not all built the same. There are some pretty... Like, a no-hitter's always impressive, but there's some that are fairly unimpressive no-hitters where, there's like 5 walks and 3 errors, and...
They're not all equal.
Like, I think Mark Burley had 2 with the White Sox, and one was pretty impressive, and the other one was like, meh, it was a no-hitter and it was fun, but it was not like, wow, this guy
Burley
dominated.
have a perfect game once?
Yeah.
Well, no-hitter, perfect game.
That was one perfect
Obviously,
game.
the perfect game would be the impressive one.
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. All no-hitters are not perfect games, but all perfect games are no-hitters.
That's how it works. That's how it goes.
Wonderlic question.
The thing with Scherzer, too, is you have to look at the efficiency that he did. I mean, it took him 119 pitches for the game, and 97 of the pitches were strikes. So that's really, really impressive.
What was your argument? What was your how'd that play out?
They said I was out of my mind and that they'd take a no-hitter over a 20 strikeout performance. And I said I deem what Scherzer did perhaps more impressive than anything Arrieta has done in like a single game wise, not the totality of it all, but like a Arrieta no-hitter, no way. Give me a Scherzer 20 strikeout game over Arrieta's no-hitter any day.
And it's amazing that Scherzer here over the last when he's been with Washington the last year and a half, he's had the 20 strikeouts and almost the back-to-back no-hitters. So like when he's on, he's fucking good.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so I just didn't know if you guys thought that Scherzer was more impressive than Arrieta's.
Sure.
Traxler, 20 strikeouts or no-hitter?
20 strikeouts, but I kind of am of your opinion that I'd like, all the great pitchers or every person who's basically on the 20 strikeout list has a no-hitter, and they're great pitchers. So ideally you'd have both. Ideally you want a no-hitter and you want to be a 20 strikeout guy because that means you're pretty damn good at pitching.
Like that 20 strikeouts has to be the goddamnedest rarest thing ever. If only like 4 guys have ever done it. And it didn't happen until, in 9 innings, it didn't happen until 86. So that's.
I know an unassisted triple play is pretty rare, and I think there have been more of those than 20 strikeout games.
Hey guys,
I think it's been like 15.
Jose Bautista just hit a home run.
Is that his first at Target Field?
I think that's his first home run ever there, yeah.
Because he's never hit a dozen there yet, so.
So it only took 4 pitches.
I assume Pat Dean is starting for the 2nd consecutive day.
Yeah, you would be incorrect. Phil Hughes.
Scherzer is currently on the mound right now through 3 innings. He has 4 strikeouts against the Miami Marlins, and out of 35 pitches, he's thrown 27 strikes.
Are they going to pull him? Are they going to pull him pretty soon here?
Probably.
That's not good at all. He may pitch multiple innings and not give up any runs today.
I have a trivia question if you want.
As does Chuck.
Mine is baseball related.
What was I going to say? All right, we can do that.
All right. I heard
Charlie's on deck.
I heard somebody mention wins, pitcher wins, and I know that they're not the end-all, be-all, but I want the top 10 pitchers to have, oh God, another home run. Josh Donaldson now. 2 batters, 2 home runs against, and holy shit, there's a lot of Blue Jays fans there.
Top of the first, folks. Top of the first.
All right. So each season since 2000, obviously 10 or more pitchers have been in the top 10 for pitcher wins. I'm just looking for any pitcher to be in the top 10 for pitcher wins in a given season since 2000. Since 2000.
Since 2000, so I can't use Old Hoss Radburn.
He won't be.
Well, I could, but he wouldn't be a correct answer.
Right.
Three Fingers Brown disqualifying.
So the highest, I'll just give this as a hint. There was 1 year, there was 2006, where the most wins in a season was 19, and the high was 24. So every year the most wins has been between 19 and 24. But there's a whole slew of people, obviously, in the top 10. So
all right.
We'll start with Charlie, and then go to Stacken, and then Mr. Kriens.
This is going to test how well I can remember my MVP baseball rosters in 2004 and 2005. I'm going to steal Twins' favorite and assume at least one time it was Johan Santana.
Johan Santana is on the list. I'm trying to look up how many times real quick. Looks like 3 times, maybe.
Pretty good.
How many total answers are there?
There's a lot.
Okay.
I'm not going to look up everyone.
I'd assume around 100. 15 years times 10.
165.
But I'm sure there's plenty of guys that are on there more than once. So I agree with Kriens. There's probably like 100.
Clayton.
This is a big Sporkle style quiz.
Yes.
Big.
It is.
Kershaw.
Clayton Kershaw. He was the top winner in 2014. He had 21 wins, and I'm not sure if he was on last year. He wasn't on there last year, so. But he's been on here before.
Slacker.
Kriens.
Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson on the list.
Randy Johnson, my least favorite pitcher to bat against in video game baseball ever.
And probably in real life.
Randy Johnson, by the way, he had the 24-win season in 2002, so the top winning season on this list, he had it.
For my next guess, I will take, based off his significant other in real life, that it is probably Schottenkirk's spirit animal, and say Justin Verlander.
Wow.
Justin Verlander had a 24-win season in 2011, and he was also on the list 2009, 2010. So he's gotten some work in.
Vote for Pedro Martinez.
Very good.
Pedro Martinez. He's on here.
He was pretty good.
So the fewest wins on this list is 19?
For the most in a season. For the single season high was 19. I can look up.
We're doing top 10, so
we are doing top 10. The lowest,
like 15.
16 wins is the lowest
Okay.
to make it on the top 10 in a given year. So
Noted racist and bigot Kurt Schilling.
Kurt Schilling.
God damn it.
Future cancer, mouth cancer fatality. Kurt Schilling.
You are terrible.
My least favorite asshole around.
He's had the most wins 2 times. He had it in 2004 and in 2001.
If you're looking to invest in a video game company, may I suggest Kurt Schilling head said company.
Oh.
That's up to you. If you want to, that's fine.
It's 3-0 Blue Jays.
Whose turn is it now?
It would be Charlie.
I will assume that this is also one of Travis Kriens' all-time favorite players and say Roger Clemens.
It's okay.
Roger Clemens. Let's take a quick look here. He is on the list 2004, 2003, 2001, for sure.
He was pretty good.
He's all right.
Maybe Clemens' teammate Andy Pettit?
Andy Pettit, also on the list. 2000, 2003, 2005. Very good.
A noted gap-toothed fat ass, CC Sabathia.
Just savagery. Sabathia, he may be on this list the most. 2011, 10, 9, 8, 7.
654.
2001, he was tied for 10th that season. So
there's a guy I really want to say, and I hope he's on the list.
It's not your turn, though.
Michael Strahan's not pitching, though.
Whoa.
Charlie?
I know.
Is that a shot?
You said gap tooth.
I can think of a lot of guys that like what they look like, but I'm trying to remember what some of their names are from like a decade ago. And there's one I want to save for later because I'm not sure he ever was.
Don't save your closer for the 10th.
I would save my closer because I think like he was. My recollection is he was pretty good for like 3 or 4 years and then just like fell off a cliff. I'm gonna go with Cliff Lee.
Cliff Lee on the list. 2011. His most recent appearance on said list. He led the league in wins 2008 with another fellow. He had 22. 2005 as well. Very good.
I was trying to think of his name to go along with Mr. Well, we won't go there. How about Maddox?
Which Maddox?
Ooh.
Braves Maddox.
Didn't know if you meant Mike Maddox.
I know Tommy Maddox from the...
Well, not spelled the same. 2000, 2001, 2004. This was on the backside of his career, so a little bit risky on your part to try. But he is on the list. A couple years where he was tied for 10th, but he is on the list. So
that's when the Braves were winning all those division titles and only one World Series.
They were the LeBron James of the 90s.
And who did they beat in the World Series?
The Cleveland
Indians.
Cleveland Native Americans.
In your face, Cleveland.
Okay.
You guys missed out, Travis.
Roy Halladay.
Travis and I talked a lot about the Cleveland thing last week.
Roy Halladay, yes, on the list. I will point out 2003 he had 22 wins. That was the most in baseball that year. Also on the list, 2006, 2008, 2009. Tied with Sabathia in 2010, had 21 wins, most that year. 2011, and hasn't been heard from since.
Because he's retired.
Because he's done.
Whatever happened to Suns point guard Kevin Johnson? Notice a noted rapist and Sacramento mayor Kevin Johnson.
What happened? Oh yeah, he retired and then he did the raping. Who's doing the raping?
Like
he did the raping.
Sharper.
Wow.
He went there. Wow, he went there.
X-rated.
So it's my turn.
It is your turn.
But is he a Hall of Famer? Is Darren Sharper a Hall of Famer, though, even though...
Put him in. Put him in.
I'm going to go with Jake Pet Peavy.
Pet Peavy. Jake Peavy. 2007 and 2007... Maybe that's it. Maybe there's just 2007.
Ooh.
Wow.
Unless I'm not seeing him on this list, but yeah. All right, 2007. You got it, but it was close.
Well, like Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom, in before it closes.
Let's go David Price.
David Price. Let's see here. Yes, last year he was 6th. He had 18 wins. 2012, 2010, on the list. David Price.
Tim Lincecum.
Tim Lincecum. In 2008, he was on the list. He was tied with an enigma of a pitcher who I won't...
2008?
2008, yeah.
Okay.
I think that might have been the only time he was on here.
Getting down there.
Well, there's still plenty of guys. Still plenty of guys.
Only 80 left.
This is the part where I start freaking out about who's not been said, and then I start thinking, man, I can't remember certain guys' names. So just for fun, I'm gonna pull out my one who I think he is on this list because if it's top 10 in the year, and he was good for a few years, I'm gonna go with Ben Sheets.
Wow.
This is it. This is risky.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, no, Charlie, no.
No, Ben Sheets
Not
isn't on
list.
there?
What's
He's
Ben
not
Sheets'
on
career
here.
high? It's got to be around 15.
I'm going to look now to
He's
see
in a
what.
bad year.
See.
Wow, Ben Sheets.
Because part of the reason is, like, when I got an Xbox 360, I got a baseball game with it, and they talked about how, like, back when they used to have instruction manuals, like, if you pitch a certain way and you keep doing this, you'll get better as the game goes on. Kind of like how in this game where Ben Sheets struck out 17 pitchers, or struck out 17 batters.
Most wins in a season for Ben Sheets. I'm looking it up here. Computer being slow. Trying to dial it up.
Also, I'm okay with going out because I knew I was not going to win this one.
The most wins he had in a season, 13
16.
wins. He had
Really?
13 wins, 2008.
Needed run support.
It looks like he was an all-star 4 times, but he never had more than 13 wins in a season.
So he tailed off
and he
after
had-
the All-Star break.
He had 3 seasons where he finished below 500 as a pitcher, and for his career, 94 and 96 as a pitcher, 10 seasons, with a 3.78 ERA. Sorry, Charlie.
Surprise.
I'm just glad I didn't go out in round 3. I at least played for a while.
I'm going to say that there's a lot of guys out there, and you might regret going out early, but that's okay.
I will take King Felix.
Ooh.
Felix Hernandez on the list. Last year he was tied for 6 with David Price and one other guy. And, yeah, he's been on this list. He's never had the most wins, which is predictable because he's on a shit team. But, yeah, he's on here.
Former Twins pitcher Robert Allen Dickey.
R.A. Dickey, yes. 2012 he was tied for 2nd. He had 20 wins, again with David Price and one other dude. And that might be his only year on here.
He's the knuckleball guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And they had something on him on Netflix that I watched a couple years ago. I don't know if it's still there or not, but it was actually pretty interesting, I thought.
Tim Wakefield also threw a knuckleball. But that's not my guess.
Wow.
I was going to say, I think that's a ballsier guess than my Ben Sheets
No.
guess.
No, I was just throwing out knuckleball pitchers, but I will take one Barry Zito.
Barry
I'm
Zito.
going to open it up.
Barry Zito on the list. 2006, 2002, he had the 2nd most with Schilling, 23 wins that season. Also 2001, he was tied for 10th with Sabathia and Maddox and about 4 other guys.
Let's go with Tim Hudson then.
Tim Hudson on the list. 2001, he was on here. Back again in 2010, and also 2011.
I'm going to make the mistake and pick Mark Mulder.
There you go.
Mark Mulder. Take a quick look here. Mark Mulder, 2004,
Oh, sweet.
2002, 2001. 2001, he was tied for 3rd most in Major League Baseball with Randy Johnson, 21 that year.
Adam Wainwright.
Adam Wainwright on the list. He had the 2nd most in 2004 and 2013. 2014, I should say. Also on the list, 2009 and 2010.
Zach Greinke.
Zach Greinke on the list. Greinke, let's see here. 2015, last year, tied for 3rd. He had 19 wins. He was also on in 2004, 2014, 2011, 2009. Very good.
Esteban Loaiza.
Esteban Loaiza on the list.
Can't believe he lasted this long. How did he last this long?
I think that's the first name I do not recognize at all.
He pitched
Tied-
for the White Sox.
Oh, well, now I really feel embarrassed.
Tied for the 2nd most in 2003, it looks like. He had 21 wins that year.
We're going to have to call on the bullpen to get us out of this mess. Here, I got a few. We'll try Cole Hamels.
Cole Hamels, if he's on the list, 2012, had 17 wins. And that's it.
Damn.
So you got it, but barely.
I just going to use the same quote that Charlie used for Indiana Jones.
Max Scherzer.
Max Scherzer, yes, we just talked about him.
We were literally talking about him earlier, and I couldn't think of that.
2000...
You're right, I feel bad about all the names I didn't think of.
And there's just a lot of dudes out here who are good. 2013, Scherzer had the most wins, 21. I'm sure he's on here other times, but I'm not going to look those up.
We'll go Francisco Liriano.
You got it. 2013, he had 16 wins for Pittsburgh. Not sure if
Twins too, right?
Not sure if he's on here for the Twins.
Absolutely not.
Nope, he's not. Just that one.
Noted country music singer and duet partner of Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Rogers. Where is he? 2006.
God, I forgot about Kenny Rogers.
2006, he was tied for the fourth most in baseball. He had 17 wins. And in 2004, also tied fourth most. He had 18 wins.
You're not giving me much time here to doubt myself anymore, Kriens, but we'll go with Madison Bumgarner.
Bumgarner on the list. It was, let's see, 2015, he had 18 wins. 2014, he had 18 wins.
Fat Bartolo.
Fat Bartolo on here, I believe, numerous times, probably the most of anybody, at least, number of years between appearances.
Probably the most for any pitcher that hit a home run this year.
Doesn't count in this list, but he was on here in 1999. He was on in 2002, 2004. He had the second most wins in 2005 with 21. And then in 2013, he had 18 wins. So
he was only 53 at the time.
He's a youngster.
One of the great pitchers whose arms was misutilized and could have stopped a generation of tears in Chicago, Kerry Wood.
Kerry Wood. He is, oh boy, this might not be good for you.
Oh, damn it.
Take a quick look here.
I can't believe it.
Kerry Wood. I don't want to tell you that it's not here, but I'm not finding it.
Have to be in the early 2000s there.
And I'm not seeing it. 2003. No. I'll just go ahead and say that his teammate Mark Pryor was on the list. But
yeah, okay. I was flip-flopping betwine the two of them. I have one other one that I was...
Well, I'll say Mark Pryor.
Well, you can't use that now. I gave that one away.
Oh, okay. Mike Mussina.
Mike Mussina on the list.
Mussina was one I thought of earlier, but he was old enough that I wasn't. Apparently, I was more comfortable with Ben Sheets than I was.
Mike Mussina, as recently as 2008, had a 20-win season.
Jeez.
He's tied for third most in baseball that year, and he's on here some other times, 2003, 2001. So.
I did have a couple other ones. No, I know I'm out, so congrats to Travis. Job well done.
Sure.
Tom Glavine, is he on there?
That was
Tom Glavine. He had the most wins in 2000.
Damn it.
And, yeah, he's on here.
And then my other one was Chris Carpenter. Is he on there?
Chris Carpenter on the list. Yep.
Fuck.
John Lester.
John Lester on here. Some of the notable season-leading pitchers. Matt Morris in 2001 for St. Louis. He shared the league lead, 22 wins. 2005, we all remember Dontrell Willis. He had 22 wins.
Dontrell Willis.
Ubaldo Jimenez on the list. 2006, Chin-Ming Wong had 19 wins. That was tied for the most in baseball, along with Johan Santana. And in 2007, Josh Beckett had 20 wins for Boston.
Carl Pavano on that list?
Brandon Webb, 2008. Let me look up Carl Pavano real quick.
I will always remember Dontrell Willis as the guy that they started going, you know what? We're so bad on offense, we're going to start batting him time.
Pavano, barely on the list in 2010, and he was also on the list in 2004. Yeah.
Good. Josh Beckett? I don't know if Josh Beckett ever won that many.
I just mentioned that he was the league leader in 2007.
Audio problems on this end.
All right. Also, Gio Gonzalez, 2012. We just talked about him, too. 2012, he had 21 wins for Washington, the most in baseball that year. Nobody mentioned of the recent
guy. Or go ahead.
Some of the recent guys that weren't mentioned. Last year, Dallas Keuchel had second most. Let's see here. Michael Wacha.
Wow.
Johnny Cueto. Jordan Zimmerman.
Jamie Moyer.
Jamie Moyer. He's on here. Yep.
Was it Jim Abbott, the guy that only had one hand?
Yeah, when Stacken made a joke about how his arm was misused, I wanted to just jump in and use something about Jim Abbott because while he had an arm, he didn't have a hand.
I don't know how long he pitched. Was he ever in the top 10 in the 2000s?
He was. He was top 10. Oh, this is Paul Abbott. Okay, so Jim Abbott, not on the list.
Oh my God, Paul Abbott.
I don't even know who Paul Abbott is.
I don't either.
But at least he apparently had at least one good year pitching.
Oh, it's Paul Bird. How about one Paul Bird? Paul Bird.
Paul Bird not on the list.
Anibal Sanchez.
He's on here.
Good trivia question. I enjoyed it, even though I got last.
What are we eating here, Stacken? What do we got? Cookies?
Belly flops.
What?
Belly flops. Belly flops.
What the
Belly
fuck is-
Belly?
Explain yourself.
It's figure jelly beans.
Is that right?
Go to prison.
Go to prison. Is that intentional? Is that intentional?
Now, to be fair, Traxler's not saying to stay there. Just do volunteer work at a prison.
That's right.
Like giving them, food like that.
Yeah, bring them the food.
They take all the retarded jelly beans and put them in there, or what?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Hence the flop.
What a marketing idea. Charlie, Cleveland related? You said maybe baseball as well?
It's Cleveland Indians baseball related.
Do you have a hard one to follow with your Cleveland quarterback? Trivia question?
It's not as good as that one. This is a pretty... What I wanted to do is I was going to come up with something of the roster of that Indians team that lost to the Marlins, and there were more people on the roster than I thought. And I came up with a few different things. This is what I settled on. We've got most career home runs in Cleveland Indians history. So these are guys, and only their home runs as a member of the Cleveland Indians count. I've got the top. I cut it off at 29 because 29 was a name I recognized, and then I didn't recognize the next 5 or 6 after that. You guys, I think, all know more about baseball than I do. There's, 10 or so names on this list I do not recognize. But obviously there's some guys that are pretty famous on this list, too. So,
what do we have for numbers?
Most career home runs in Cleveland Indians history, you want a high and a low?
Sure.
The person with number 1 hit 337 home runs as a member of the tribe, while the person at 29th hit 92 with the tribe.
There you go.
And we'll go left to right for me, so that's Traxler, Stacken, and then Kriens.
I will take Jim Thome.
He's number 1 with 337.
I'm going to bow out of this really early, but I will survive one round and pick Albert Bell.
He's number 2 with 242.
Manny Ramirez.
Manny Ramirez is number 3 at 236. You guys are going right in order.
All right, I'll see.
I don't think Traxler's going to keep it up with 4, but I suppose it's possible.
Somebody who I know is on the list, Travis Hafner.
Travis Hafner is only number 8. Or number 8 with 200.
Jelly bean?
What?
Jelly bean stacking?
Yeah, the belly flops.
Belly
and I'm going to flop with this answer right now.
Boo.
You and your puns today.
They're bad. They're all terrible.
Oh, come on. The Odor one, that was funny.
No.
God.
92.
Well, we're going to say Chin-Soo Choo and bow out.
He is not on this list.
That's why I said I'm going to bow out. But I went down swinging just like Chin-Soo Choo would.
I don't even think that's how you say his name.
Much like me in the last one, you might be a little bit disappointed that you didn't come up with some more names on this list.
I had one other
Maybe
one.
you won't be.
Roberto Alomar?
Shit.
Roberto Alomar.
He's on the list. He's probably at the bottom. Or if
Roberto Alomar, not on the list.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't say him then.
There you go.
So I think that's it. Drexler won. 2 rounds.
Omar Vizquel, is he on there?
Oh, God.
Omar Vizquel.
No, he's on the team for a long time.
Not on the list either.
5 home runs a year. 20 years, maybe.
How about Eddie Murray?
Amazing.
Did he play in Cleveland?
Yep.
He did. It must have been at the end of his career because he's not on the list either.
Shit, we don't know any of the
now,
guys.
to be fair, I don't even. This was a week ago I did this. I've already forgotten where I compiled this list from. So
Roberto Alomar, 63 home runs for Cleveland. So
fourth on the list was some guy named Earl Averill with 226. I have no clue who that is.
Go pound sand, Earl.
And then just skipping around for a few names. Joe Carter, 151. I'm assuming that's the same Joe Carter, but maybe it's not. Grady Sizemore, 13th with 139.
Ooh, fuck.
Carlos Baerga, 21st with 104.
Carlos Viagra, as Bob Casey called him once.
Tied for 22nd, Victor Martinez and Johnny Peralta, both with 103. David Justice, 26th with 96. And at 29, last with 92, Sandy Alomar Jr.
Like past 19, I mean, I have a hard time coming up with past 1990s Cleveland Indians.
Never heard of them.
Because they were bad, and I don't know many guys.
You weren't alive then either.
I wasn't. Any award winners this week?
I don't have my list in front of me, but there was a guy from the Brewers who had a pretty good game pitching. Almost beat the Mets, maybe. I don't know.
Jimmy Nelson?
I don't know if that's his name or not, but
Jimmy Nelson had a good game.
he was a guy I'd never heard of, so there you go.
Like Jim Nelson. What's wrong with Matt Harvey?
He's dead.
Not very good.
Tommy John.
Trapping second.
Isn't it Tommy John?
Well, he's back from that.
Is he struggling because of Tommy John surgery?
Like last year, he was fine. Like usually, it's like the second year removed, you do better, but now it's just it ain't there.
The Dark Knight. He
had a 2.71 ERA last year. Now he's got an ERA just under 6. So one of the worst starting pitchers in baseball this year when he was one of the better ones last year. So
Good.
Make of that what you will. Charlie, before we got interrupted last week, we were diving into the Thunder-Spurs upset. I thought it was pretty big, pretty unexpected. What say you? Especially after Game 1.
Yeah, I don't remember what all we said because that was when the audio started going really bad. But yeah, I remember that was my thought. Is I did not expect the Thunder to win. I think everyone had essentially, maybe not written in stone, but at least written in pen that it was going to be the Spurs and the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, especially with the way the Spurs just destroyed the Warriors in Game 1. I mean, the Thunder in Game 1. But, kudos to Oklahoma City. They won, 2 games on the road? Two road games where San Antonio only lost once the whole regular season.
2 Golden State. Stacken, are these games going to be better than the Spurs Warriors would have been?
I'm kind of thinking they will, just because the play, the styles of play are really similar. Both teams like to score a lot of points. I think San Antonio would have tried to slow the game down, and you could kind of see it in the regular season when the games were in the low 90s, high 80s. So pace of play is certainly going to be a little faster. Your whole definition of better, though, is
more pleasing to watch.
Then, yeah, I mean, just like chicks dig the long ball, a lot of people like points, and so they would probably prefer this series.
What do you think? Marcus is going to go 6. Could the Thunder push him to 7?
I think so.
What do you think?
I think it goes 7. I think it will go. I think it will go 6, but I definitely think it could go 7. I mean, tonight's game's huge. Huge game 3. I mean, the Warriors.
As long as Golden State comes out with a split, I think they're fine.
Yeah, I agree, but I mean, I think it'd be hard to rule out exactly it being a 3-1 series either, and for either team, I'd say. I think it's really interesting. I think it's possible if the Warriors go back 3-1. It's possible that the Thunder go back 3-1. I think that's great, and it's really captivating. And if you're the Warriors, I'd love to see them down 3-1 because I think they'd probably make a run and at least push it 7 again. And I think has potential to be just a phenomenal series. Has been already, even though they've only played 2 games and now they've taken an inexplicable 3-day break.
Stacken, should they maybe give them 4 days instead of 3?
Give them a week. I don't know how anyone can make it from Oakland to Oklahoma City and not be tired in anything under a week. Just inexcusable on the NBA's part.
Did they suspend the commissioner for 8 games?
No, he's too busy worried about the Philadelphia 76ers and trying to make it so that they draft Ben Simmons and piss him off.
Charlie, will Oklahoma City win another game on the road? Could they possibly
another game on the road?
Could they possibly win 2 games?
Let's see. The NBA, they do it 2-3-2. It's not 2-2-1-1-1, right?
I think this is 2-2-1-1-1.
Okay.
Here.
If it's 2-2-1-1-1,
it should be 1-1-1-1-1-1.
I was just going to do that.
That's right.
I'm going to say that Oklahoma City does not win a game on the road the rest of the series, and Golden State wins in 6.
1-1-1-1.
There are missed calls every game, throughout the game, all the time. But is Oklahoma City getting the breaks here with the San Antonio stuff? The Waiters forearm.
God damn it, it's fixed.
The Westbrook travel.
I mean, I think certainly they're getting breaks. I don't think it's designed that way or on purpose. It's just a weird, roll of the dice, like rolling 12s 5 times in a row. That mathematically, at times, things are going to work out this way.
Because of that, would you be more apt to say, at the end of these games, when it is close, you'd expect a game not to go the Thunder's way one of these times before the series is done?
I would assume that if they keep having close games and the officials are put in tough spots having to make controversial calls, that at some point one's going to go against Oklahoma City.
Stacken, what do you think of the Blazers for next year?
Are we talking suit jackets or are we talking
the suit jackets? We're not talking about NBA. Come on.
Okay.
Talking about Owen Hart, the Blue Blazer.
Light blue blazer.
Men in Blazers on NBCSN.
Awful.
Interesting team. Certainly overachieved this year. And
well, how about this? Will people overrate them next year because they made it to the second round, even though they did make it to the second round because Chris Paul and Blake Griffin were both hurt?
Yes.
See,
if that doesn't happen,
I don't think they will overrate them for that. Oh. They will just see that they made the playoffs this year and like, oh, this was supposed to be a big rebuilding year for them, so we expect more from them next year and to at least get to the second round. I don't know if they will or not. I'm looking at the at the Western Conference right now, but was looking at it last night and just saying because the Timberwolves are going to be that team next year that people are going to say they're going to make the playoffs. Year under Thibodeau, second year for Cat, third year with Wiggins. This is the team that's going to make the postseason. And you look at the rest of the West and you say, well, what team isn't going to be there? And I might lean towards Dallas and Houston.
No,
but
come on.
But Portland would be that other team, I think, that would be one of the teams that would not make it next year that made it this year. Portland, Dallas, and Houston, any one of them probably won't make it next year.
Put the Blazers in jail.
The Jailblazers.
Jailblazers.
Marcus, do you frown upon Dallas and Houston, or what do you think they are?
I do. I frown upon the idea that Portland's going to be any good next year too. But
really, well, who will get in there then?
Who do I think? Well, I mean, I think they'll make the playoffs. But as far as like actually being good teams, like I think people are talking about Portland now, and they're like, hey, maybe they'll be good. You know, they'll be better next year. It's like, but how? They're not going to be better than Oklahoma City, because I think this at least opens the idea that Durant's going to come back now, because they've got. I mean, I think he's got to realize they've got something there with Westbrook that he's just not going to have anywhere else. The Warriors are going to be good. The Spurs are going to be good. I don't see the Blazers jumping over any of those teams.
Durant's going to San Antonio.
No, come on.
No, we already know he and DeMarcus Cousins are going to Traxler and I's Miami Heat.
Goddamn right. Goddamn right.
Jesus Christ.
Well, Stacken's trying to put together a package for the Lakers to get him that's just going to fall through at the end.
Dumb on your part. Don't even bother stacking.
So what? Not talking about the Lakers.
Yeah, we are, because we took that. Which NBA team do you want to run that like?
Jesus.
And Traxler and Schottenkirk and I all got the Heat, and you got the Lakers.
I'm very sad about that. They only had 4 choices, though.
They did.
Yeah, well done. Yeah.
But assigning somebody the New Orleans Pelicans isn't really any fun, so I understand why they did what they did.
Do you like floods? Do you like racists? Well,
good. You have the Memphis Grizzlies. Congratulations.
Oh, look at this. Look at this.
You get the Washington Bullets.
Bullets. Anyway, do you think Durant's going to do a contract like LeBron, where he can opt out after a couple of years from the salary cap deal?
Yeah, I think so.
That's the rumors.
Well, I don't know if that's the rumors, but that's what I'm saying he's going to do.
Yes.
You think so?
I think regardless of where he goes, he could do that.
Good.
Because if you know me, I'm an NBA salary cap expert.
Well, is your minor
over here?
I minored in that. Yeah, I minored in
crunch
that.
those numbers.
You're a minor at Killian Community College.
Killian.
Sports weekend, Charlie, Memorial Day, sports weekend, your unofficial kickoff to summer. You got the big races on Sunday, baseball stuff too. Is
South
this
Dakota State track meet?
Track meet and baseball bullshit in South Dakota. Memorial Day sports weekend, is that not all that big of a deal? You got the Indy 500. Anything else that you would say Memorial Day, that's a really good sports weekend, or is it not?
Kentucky Derby.
For me, it's not all that great, because there's just not anything that I really truly love. Like, I certainly don't think it's a bad sports weekend, but there's nothing, as Kriens has put it so elegantly so many times, that gets me hard.
Yeah, I get
Memorial Day weekend.
That's going on Kriens' his gravestone. He was never hard.
Aaron Hicks never made me hard.
You're going to need a big gravestone, because you're going to have to list out
Lots of lists of hard and not hard.
What list would be longer?
The not hard list.
Not hard.
Because what's on the hard list? The Astros.
Well, just assume if it's not on the list.
Randy Moss.
Randy Moss.
Can I just? It's one list, and if it's not on the list, just assume that I'm not hard about it.
So yeah. Well, I mean, what about? Yeah, never mind. I'm not going to get into it.
If waffles are not on my list, just assume that I'm not hard about waffles.
But they got to be on the list, right?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. What? Waffles are you pancakes, though, right?
I'd be a pancake guy.
Yeah, that's all right.
They don't necessarily make me hard, but
you don't want hard pancakes, though. Those aren't great.
No, you would, or black ones.
When does the weekend?
When does the weekend? That's the question.
Ended a long time ago for Freddie Gonzalez.
Wow.
No,
I like my
let's
pancakes.
not talk about.
I like my pancakes like I like my 1940 baseball teams.
White.
Floppy?
Golden brown.
War
Sweet.
veterans. War veterans.
Can I just bring something up that Amon, since he can't be here, he says we need to cut the shit with Dozier. I don't know what exactly that means, but he says we all need to cut the shit. Can we cut the shit with Dozier? And I say no. I say I don't know what you're talking about.
Here's my recollection of our history of Brian Dozier. He came up. He didn't do anything. I was not impressed because show me something on the gravestone.
You weren't hard, yeah.
I don't care what you did in the minors. Come up, do something. He didn't. And Amon's like, well, he could be a guy. He could be a guy. And then he became an all-star, and he became a guy. I'm like, all right, he's good. And then now, second half of last year, first half of this year, he's gone back to what he was 3 years ago. Awful. And they gave him the contract extension, and it was only like $5 million, and that's not terrible. At the time, it looked like a really good deal if he kept the production up of hitting 25 home runs. And now it looks like, $5 million could have been a lot worse.
I just think the most important part of this is that Amon thinks we need to cut the shit with it. So just whatever you got to do, just cut the shit with Dozier, and we'll just get on with our lives. But you gotta cut the shit.
I would like for him to be on to talk about it because he hasn't been on since probably the baseball preview.
Probably since the multiple Coons ages ago.
Two Coons ages ago, and I don't know what trade. What does he want? It's not like you're trying to save the season to do something, or you're trying to save it not to lose 100. If you lose 100, so be it. Just let it go, let it ride out. What does he want? What do you think he wants? Since he's not here to say.
No idea.
With the Twins,
they're just a bad team that you can't save.
You just let it go. Let it go. You go for next year. You get Duffy, give him a full year. Where is Barrios? You get him up here again. Hopefully he'll be better next year.
It's just a lost year, and you just roll on and try again next year. Try to get some of these young guys a little bit more seasoned, and
And then he put in Hughes, his bad contract. That's his new thing. Hughes.
Well, yeah, it's terrible. It's not a good contract, but.
And Ricky Nolasco's done a lot better. Not any good, but he's done better, and that's not good. And he did put Irvin Santana in there, which no. Irvin Santana doesn't belong in that at all.
You're right. Yep. Stand up for Irv.
Irv Santana's, look at the numbers. He's been very, very good. He's been fine.
I just wanted to bring that up because I thought it was funny that we need to cut the shit.
What did you say here?
Also, Charlie and I, and also Travis and I yesterday, were talking about great events in American Gladiators history. There's a list out.
Oh, wow.
That maybe could be shared on various social media pages, get some talk going.
I haven't looked at it yet. Or sorry, well, explain your thing, but I want to try to guess what the top 5.
Okay, yeah, all right. Let me pull that up real quick. But yes,
I haven't looked at it yet.
There's about 26 or 27 American Gladiators list. And SB Nation just had a post, kind of running through all of them. These are the ones. These are the ones they like the most. Definitive, comprehensive ranking, they say. And I generally agree with their top 5. A lot of the shitty ones are at the bottom, are the old ones or the newer show, I should say, that obviously wasn't as popular. But yes, a lot of good ones. A show we all liked growing up. I'm sure, Mr. Stacken, did you watch American Gladiators as a kid? God damn it, Stacken. Maybe this is why we have such a disconnect sometimes. You weren't indoctrinated in American Gladiators at a young age.
Okay, what was the show? What was the show on Spike TV with the Japanese subtitle?
Oh my God.
MXC Challenge or something like that, where they dubbed over it.
That's a tremendous show.
I watched that.
Well, American Gladiators isn't humorous.
Yeah,
but
right.
There's some correlations between those two. American Gladiators is like we're taking it seriously, and there's somebody actively attempting to stop you, as opposed to you doing a ridiculous feat.
I was also a Legends of the Hidden Temple guy.
Was that on Nickelodeon?
Yes.
That was a very good show.
It was. I also watched that. I think my favorite thing, I remember almost nothing about the new American Gladiators, which I think was on NBC.
Yep.
The thing I remember, I mean, I can't say this for sure, but I'm like 95% sure that the guy who was the referee on the new American Gladiators was the same guy who's the referee in the movie Dodgeball at the end of the movie. And I just always thought that was funny.
All right, so Charlie, we're going to give you a shot here. What do you think are the top 5
Okay, so
on this list?
One thing, like, did they include the final thing at the very end? Does that count as an event?
That does not count. That's because it's the Eliminator. It's separate and separately awesome. So yes.
I'm trying to, like, I'm thinking of what mine are and seeing if any of them wouldn't jive. But I top 5, one of them's got to be the one where they've got like the gun shooting tennis balls at them.
Yep. You got it. That was Assault. That was number 1. Assault was number 1.
That one was great. I think also the there were some that they didn't do very often. It seemed like the one where like they're climbing the wall and then the gladiators start later and yank them down.
Like the rock wall you're talking about?
I think it was a rock wall.
Yes. So they had a rock wall. That was 3rd on this list. As they describe it, try to climb a wall before a steroids guy grabs your foot and sends you careening out into nothingness. That's exactly what happened most of the time.
For Stacken, who didn't watch it, and any of our thousands of viewers who didn't watch it, is basically the gladiators were all guys. Well, I mean, they had men and women both do it, but they were all people that were, 6'3", 245 pounds, just absolutely like yellow eyes. They're on so many steroids, like essentially, like I'm sure they didn't do this, but you could basically imagine them like, okay, I got to go out there, dump all the oil on me so I really glisten on the camera. And then like the guys that were, the contestants competing were all like 5'9", 165-pound people. Like, some of them were good athletes and were fast. Some of them were not. But none of the contestants were guys that were even in the same ballpark as, like, big. And, like, some of these, like, they would just, like, toy with them. And it would just be like, I would feel sorry for the contestants at times because they would just get the snot beat out of them.
I have seen a time or two, where they have to
I sent you the link on Facebook here, Stacken, if you want to peruse. I got a bunch of videos.
Okay, so I got 2 of the 5. One of them is, again, I don't remember what any of them are called, but the one where they're in the ball thing, the cage, and they roll and have to stop on the things.
It was ranked low. It was Atmosphere. It's ranked 14th on this list.
Ooh, not
mainly because you couldn't really trip the trigger. Usually you'd see guys land on it, and then they wouldn't be able to get the thing to go off. But they do call it the iconic American Gladiators event, and I think it's also one that I think of when I think of American Gladiators, just because of how stupid it is, and although, I mean, I'd say that that's one where, the playing field between the Gladiator and the Challenger was relatively equal. So,
as close to equal as it could be. It is only unequal in the way that they were generally in far better shape.
Yeah.
And are probably all dead now from the massive amounts
of
steroids.
And the thing about it is, I don't know how long these tapings were. Maybe this was over the course of, 2-3 hours is what a show took to tape. I don't know. But the guys would have to do all 4, 5, 6 things, while the gladiators could maybe pick 1 or 2.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
One event. Hired by event number 2, he's got to do 3 more. So.
And I agree with their assessment that Atmosphere is like one of the ones that you think of, but it's probably not great because they would always roll over and it would not work. Another one, I'm guessing, the one where it's sort of like Capture the Flag and they have to like put balls in some container and the gladiators just like tackle them.
That was ranked 6th. That's Powerball.
Just outside the top 5.
You don't think of it, but it's they really had 2 of those games. They had one where like you had to juke out the guy and beat him to the goal line, and then there was one where you had to run and put the balls in the because there was Breakthrough and Conquer where you juke your guy and you try to score, and then you get in like the circular pit thing and you try to push the gladiator out or stay in the ring or whatever you had to do.
Football.
And then there was
right. Sorry, go ahead.
And then there was the other one, Powerball, which is the one you're talking about, where you had to take the balls and put them in the cylinder. And I wanted to point out that in the video they have attached with the Powerball thing, it's 3-on-2, 3 gladiators against 2 challengers. And one of the, as I told Kriens yesterday, one of the gladiators legitimately blows out his knee. But because this is 1992, Larry Zonka's like, oh, looks like he hyperextended his knee. No, Larry, he fucking blew it out. It's bad. That gladiator is done. And I think it's kind of funny that they chose to link that particular video in this. So yes,
they took him out and shot him afterwards because
they have I forget what gladiator it is, but the other 2 gladiators, they lift him. They've got each of his arms. And they carry him off the field, and it's like they're gonna take him out back and shoot him because he's not gonna be worth much. Maybe turn him into glue or something. But
is the jousting in the top 5?
Jousting is in the top 5. It's number 4. Yes.
Joust.
And then the only I'm starting to run out of ones that were really good. Like this one would seem like the most unsafe one. I don't know what it was called, but it was basically like the contestants would like get on a rope and slingshot themselves at the gladiators, who would then try to like absorb the blow and not fall off some high perch or something like that.
That was a Human Cannonball. That was number 2, and I have to give you credit. You've done a terrific job remembering all of these events. I didn't remember them all, but yes, they have they have a video here, and the challenger kicks the gladiator straight in the face, and kicks him right off the thing. So. It's a good list because they have kind of the best moments that you want to see, and rather than having to watch years of stuff. And the number 5 that they had on here was Whiplash, which was each of them had one hand on like a bone-shaped thing, and they had to swing each other around, and the challenger tried to throw the gladiator off the bone and out of the ring. A good event there. The one that was number 8 on this list that I liked the most was that big pyramid thing that the guys would try to run up and get to the top, and the gladiators would come down, and they'd try to tackle the guys and throw them off there. So that was one I liked a lot. Also, I forget what it was called, but the one where they jumped down and then they had to jump towards the pole in the middle that had balls on it, and they had to grab the balls off this little Christmas tree-like thing, and then bring the balls back to their container, which
my recollection on that one is it was fun, but it was like one of the most difficult ones. And if you didn't have someone who was like a certain competent level, it was bad to watch because it was just like, no, you can't do this, and it's not going to work. But if they were good at doing it, it was incredibly fun and entertaining.
They called that swing shot, and I think I may have it ranked higher than I should, in part because in the video they have, one of the challengers fakes out the gladiator, so the gladiator jumps too early, and the challenger has basically a free run at the thing. And so then the next time, the gladiator and the challenger both jump at the same time, and the gladiator jumps and punches the challenger in the face of the chest, Rougned Odor style. And then afterwards, the gladiator's all tough, and he's like, "Hey man, can't do that out there, heat of the moment, but I had to come after you." And it was really stupid, and that's why we love American Gladiators, how relatively dumb it was.
I don't remember any of their names, but I remember all the gladiators had names.
Turbo and Nitro and stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff like that. Also similar to the names of the bad guys on the bad dodgeball team in the movie Dodgeball.
What is it about a show that was made when we were kids and they bring it back and it's not as good?
Well, just because they did a bad job with it. Like you're not gonna find like complete steroid hunks like you did then.
Come on, you can find them. Come on.
You can find it, but it's not the same.
I think part of it is that there's just more channels and options too. Because like as a kid, like we had cable when I was a kid. I think there were like maybe 35 cable channels when I was a kid though. And it was just like, so you get to American, like when you start listing things off of like, well, I'm not watching this or this or this, you get to American Gladiators pretty quickly. Where now there's just so many more things. It's like, well, I'm going to watch something else instead.
I just felt like pointing that out because I think it was a shared experience for 3 of the 4 of us, except Mr. Stacken. God damn it, Stacken.
I said I watched a few episodes, but not a rigorous and
doesn't count.
What did you enjoy about the Asians on Spike TV, which was another quality program?
It was.
What did you enjoy about it, Stacken?
It was just funny. The comments that they'd make, the voiceover stuff that they would do when like someone would go like this and say, "I'm the best," and their mouth would keep moving. It was just absolutely great. I loved every minute of it, and then just seeing them get hit by rocks.
My mom says I can't come home if I don't win.
I don't know, that show was just incredible.
Does anyone remember one of their, like, I don't remember what they called it, but at the end of the show they had like the worst or most painful or thing. Does anyone have or remember a favorite one of those? Because the one that I remember that always, I saw this episode 2 or 3 times, and it always made me cheese out laughing when I saw it, is they had one where, like, they would be out in this huge, like, pit of mud, and they would shoot, like, a soccer ball or something way up in the air, and they'd have to catch it, and it was like some lady, like, put her hands out to catch it, and it just drills her in the face. That one always made me laugh hysterically.
I don't have a favorite one, but there's pretty much not a bad show. I mean, that one, and then you'd follow it up with a little Whose Line Is It Anyway with Drew Carey and Ryan Stiles, Colin Mockery. That was a great way to cap a night off.
When this show's over, I'm gonna watch some video clips of our favorite Japanese dubbed show.
Here's a non-sports related question. We're all about the same age.
30 minutes wasn't.
Yeah, that was all athletics. Yeah.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Not Donald Trump. We're all about the same age. And we can all remember, because Charlie said, 3,500. I'm sure we all grew up without internet, without a computer for a time, without a phone for a time. So we remember all the old stuff. What is the youngest you could be and still remember all that stuff? Because Marcus, you're 23?
24.
And you grew up without a computer.
For a while, yeah.
Without internet.
Yep.
With the old landline phone. So you can still
AOL version 4.0.
Yeah, with the dial-up and all that, and without everybody having...
With the CD that comes with 1 year free of AOL with every magazine you would ever buy.
Well, to put it this way, my brother is 8 years younger than I am, and I'm not sure he's ever lived in a time where that wasn't around.
So would you say maybe 20 years old?
Yeah. And, like, you see this a lot now, but there's, if you're like 10 years old or 8 years old right now, you've never been around where this wasn't a thing, where like there weren't iPads and stuff, where you see little kids with them all the time, and that's they don't have any idea of a world where the house only had one TV or 2 TVs and
having to memorize your friend's phone number so you wouldn't have to look it up in the phone book every time.
Right. I mean, like in our house, I think there was one TV that had cable. And then I had a TV that had a Sega Genesis on it and didn't get cable, and that was pretty much it, And so it's obviously a completely different time.
Or if you had...
Would they play video games, it works the first time, unlike NES, where you would have to like blow on it for half an hour to get it to work.
Yeah.
Well, like if you were on dial-up internet, if somebody called your house, it was busy because you were on the internet.
Right.
So if somebody was trying to call, they couldn't call. And you give these kids something like a cassette player, or maybe not even like a VCR, and you would say, "What is this for? What the hell do you do with this?" Because there are no things like that.
No.
It is amazing.
Like, I would even, like, even not technology-wise, but just the way things change, I bet you could, like, I mean, I don't know, like, what classrooms in elementary schools look like anymore, because I don't go to elementary schools ever, but, like, I would imagine you could go to a lot of places, and they'd be like, you could give them a pencil sharpener, and they'd be like, I don't know what this is, because we all use mechanical pencils.
I helped clean out my grandparents' house. They moved recently, and they had like a VCR, like a combo VCR DVD player, because there was about a 4-year span where those were big. And now, I mean, I just looked at the VCR. I'm like, that thing's useless. Like, even if I wanted to play all these VHS videos, I'm not going to do that. You know, it's like, well, I'll just go find that DVD for $3 or whatever it is, and I'll just buy it. That way I don't have to have this dumb VHS and a dumb VCR player. And it just kind of struck me to how useless these things are, even though they had been kind of the lifeblood for 30 years. If you were going to watch a video, that was the way you did it.
VHS was good at its time, but once you go to DVD, you can't go back. Cause
That's right.
I remember coming home like one weekend when I was in college and like, oh yeah, I'm going to watch this VHS tape. And it was like, oh my God, I forgot of like static, and you have to press like the tracking button to fix things. And there's times where it just does weird stuff on its own because that's what it did.
The picture was bad.
If you want to fast forward to a part, you actually had to sit through the goddamn thing and wait 30 seconds or fast forward a half hour.
The thing that no child will ever understand is you put in a VHS tape and you're like, oh shit, it's at the end. I need to rewind the whole thing to watch it now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of VHS tapes, mainly the NFL Films Football Follies videos that are just worn to shit at my house because I had to rewind them so many goddamn times to watch them over and over again. So. And
now even DVDs are somewhat outdated because of streaming stuff.
Right.
There you go. Also, ended on a sad note, Marcus, Morley Safer, dead.
Yeah, you know, a real shame that, I guess this was probably planned out, but they announced his retirement last week and had the retrospective piece, which was good, and then he's dead 5 days later. But, I mean, a really, at 46 years on TV, great career.
Just 46 on 60 Minutes.
60 Minutes, yeah, like a 60-year, damn near 60-year career on TV. And had the famous report from Vietnam showing United States soldiers burning huts of civilians. Troops built burning huts in Vietnam, and then I think it was Lyndon Johnson who called them up and said, you know, you shat on our flag, and then obviously a bunch of really great stories on 60 Minutes, and one of the reasons I love the show even today, and between him and Bob Simon, who died last year, and Mike Wallace, who died a few years ago, a lot of the greats are gone. They still have some good journalists there. Scott Pelley, Steve Croft, my main guys, Anderson Cooper, but another good one gone.
Well, if you Google him,
that
picture is creepy.
It's bad. They got the one picture where he looks like he's already dead.
Well, he never had a face.
Well, I gotta Google this now.
He never really had a face that was built for TV, I'd say.
And he was a guy that like in the early 80s looked like he was 75, and he just looked like that for the next 40 years.
Now this just makes me think, I was watching Mississippi Burning yesterday. It was on TV. You ever see it? Gene Hackman from 1988.
I know the movie. I've not seen it.
Pretty good movie. Highly recommend you see it.
Is it the biopic for Archie Manning?
No.
Oh.
I watched a movie after work last night. I did not pick
Oh,
Mississippi Burning. I watched Role Models with Paul Rudd and Seann William Scott because it was on television.
You know, Mississippi Burning is not the name of what happened to Nyquist losing the exaggerator yesterday in the Preakness.
It hurts.
We should note that the Blue Jays are being bitches again. We end the show the same way we started the show. Josh Donaldson Hughes kind of threw at him twice, threw behind him, and Donaldson's all pissed off. He wanted.
Is it still going on?
It just ended. Now Encarnacion's up. He got Donaldson to pop out, but now Donaldson's being a bitch in the dugout. So.
Well, he got thrown out yesterday. Throw him out again.
Yeah.
You're pissing me off, Toronto. Pissing me off. I think what Mike Wallace was 93.
Yep.
He'd retired like 10 years ago before he died, or 8 years ago before he died. But then he'd come back every once in a while. And I think his last story, he was 89. He did the Roger Clemens.
Yep.
Story. That was his last
I do want to say that I don't count Andy Rooney in my list of great 60 Minutes people because it's not very hard to cock off at the end of the show for 3 minutes about something you don't know what you're talking about. So
let's bring it back. For Stacken and his jelly beans, Charlie Hildebrand and his Indians, Marcus and his granola bars. Huh?
Marcus and his VHS tapes.
VHS tapes.
Don't own a single one.
The flipping and frying on Fridays with the Follies.
Do it. 5 a.m.
5 a.m. Next week, Memorial Day action. Memorial Day action. So get out your flags. And remember, Stacken, Memorial Day is for the dead. Veterans Day is for the living.
Important.
So how about we get this right here this year? For all your Nate Wex out there that don't know what the hell's going on, all the veterans out there, Veterans Day is their day. Memorial Day is when you go to the cemeteries and do the stuff. So there you go.
And also, it's not Flag Day. That's June 14th.
That's right. Flag Day, Arbor Day, the whole deal. So
get them right.
Next week, 170. We'll see what the Toronto Blue Jays are bitches about next week, and we'll see who Drue Amon says should cut the shit out next week.
Cut the shit.
Maybe it'll be Plouffe. I don't know. Inside.
Plouffe Bonzer.
Cut the shit.